Hello, Young and Sane fam. Welcome to another episode of the Young and Sane Podcast. And I'm your host, Tamarflourish. I'm so excited to have you guys on here this morning. And I hope that you enjoy this episode of the Young and Sane Podcast. So welcome. In case you're a new listener, welcome onto this platform. This is a podcast that is invested in going through, the minds of young people to find out the things that are causing our insanity and affecting our sanity in this day and age. So the Young and Sane Podcast is invested in going through the events and the things that happen, to young people and that affect our sanity and all of that. Like every single topic that concerns or affects the young people in this generation. The Young and Sane Podcast, we go into all of that. To talk about issues affecting us and driving us insane and all whatnot, causing a lot of issues in the world, and also trying to provide solutions or trying to look into the ways that we can actually become better people, become free from the challenges and things that are plaguing us as people. So on today's podcast episode, we're going to be talking about religion, insanity, and church hurt. Yeah, church hurt. I almost bit my tongue there. Alright, so let's get right into the nitty-gritty of what we have today. So welcome once again. I hope you actually are going to enjoy this episode, and probably we're going to talk on a few things that probably you may have been asking those questions, or you may have had those thoughts in your head or in your mind, just questioning a lot of things. So we're going to get into all those right away. So religion, based on the context of what we're going to be talking about in this podcast episode, religion is say ascribing to a certain belief in a deity, a god, a spirit, just whatever spiritual entity that people believe in. So that's the context of religion we are going to be talking about in this podcast episode. And so there are different kinds of religion, as the world has classified every kind of belief system and all that in a god, and there's the Muslim religion, there is Islam, there's Christianity, there's Buddhism, there's Hinduism. There are a lot of religions that I do not even know that exist. So in the context of this podcast, these are what we are referring to as religions, right? And so for me, over the years, I talking from perspective, I've believed religion, to be a kind of ascribing to beliefs in a god or a deity or a spiritual entity. But then so far, the more I look at religion, it lacks the what would I say, the quality of having a relationship, with that deity. So it's just like you perform a lot of activities to please this deity. Could be God, could be whatever. You indulge in so many practices, just so many activities to please him, for him to bless you, for him to just do whatever, your bidding, protect you, help you, just whatever, right? But then lacking the would I call it ingredients of relationship. Yeah, so I'm a Christian. Let me just lay that foundation. I'm a Christian, right? But I'm not a Christian as practicing the religion of Christianity. So I don't subscribe to the religion of Christianity, right? And although that may be controversial in itself, because I go to church and I indulge in the activities, that covers the field of religion, right? But so from a personal place, I do not subscribe to being a Christian as my religion. I practice Christianity as a faith. And what I mean by that is I'm a Christian personally, right? From the standpoint of having a relationship with God, with my Creator, with His Son Jesus Christ, and then with the Holy Spirit who lives inside of me, right? So personally, this is my view about Christianity. But this whole podcast episode is not about describing how peculiar my Christian faith is aside from Christian religion, right? I just wanted to lay that down so that in view of what we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. So let's not be that you begin to question yourself, are you sure this guy? So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. So religion in the context of the African society so far and for so long has become a breeding ground for insanity. I say this with my full chest. Guys, it has become a breeding ground for insanity, chaos, and in fact pure madness. Like, let me not even use the word insanity because it's like quoting. I'm quoting it with a big word that looks kind of beautiful. No, religion has been a breeding ground for pure madness, like a madness that is as clear as daylight. So in the Christian religion, a lot of pastors, prophets are rising in every corner and streets, and they are preaching a lot of things. They are upholding a lot of doctrines, controversial doctrines, conflicting doctrines, and confusing beliefs. And you're like, please, what is it about this Christ? So what are we talking about in this Christian religion? You guys believe in God, but why are there different ways of believing in God? Why are there different things that you guys subscribe to and you say it's the same God? Can this God be this confusing? Can he be this confusing? And it's just one of the questions that a lot of people have on their minds, right? And then the religion of Christianity looks like the hallmark of all kinds of madness, where different beliefs and practices are upheld under the umbrella of the Christian religion. As I've mentioned, a lot of youths, are rising up, including me. I'm just questioning a lot of things. What is this thing that you are talking about? Yeah, a lot of youths are rising to question every kind of gospel. This Gen Z generation, we are questioning a lot of things, like a lot of doctrines, a lot of beliefs, a lot of practices. Where is this from? What does it do? We're asking a lot of questions about the kind of gospel that have been shoved down our throats by our parents or guidance or leaders or just whatever big figure people in society that we've looked up to for so long. And we're questioning a lot of things because the madness we are seeing doesn't follow, like, what kind of God permits this kind of madness, right? And so we've asked a lot of questions, and of course the typical African parents and leaders do not have any answers for any of the questions that we have been speaking, and the only thing that they have been subscribing to shut us up is stress, fear, silencing us and saying you should not question God. How foolish are you? You cannot ask that question about God. Who are you to question all those kind of things? And you're like, should if you say he's a living God, should he not be able to answer my question? And then some people say that God is not liable to answer your question. But bro, I need to be clarified. What kind of God allows people to believe? What kind of God allows people to believe 1,000,001 different things? And it's just like a whole lot of confusion, and really a lot of Gen Zs have had questions though, and nobody have been able to answer our questions. But then so as a Christian, I believe God is raising people that are providing such answers to us, right? And so, like, providing such answers, God is answering those questions. So from my own relationship with God, there are a lot of questions I've asked, like, God, why is this and this and this and this? And I've gotten my answers, right? And so it's like clear. But then I'm actually speaking from the standpoint of so many other young people that have become confused by the kind of madness reigning in religion, and even particularly the Christian religion, right? And so and it's funny because our parents are not providing answers, leaders are not providing answers, and a lot of Gen Zs are not subscribing to following their fathers, their mothers, their parents to worship this kind of God that confuses. You know, a lot of Gen Zs, a lot of young people are not prescribing to the method of worship, or most of the beliefs or even practices and even the doctrines that we have over the years ascribed to this Christian God, right? I mean, a lot of things are happening. Even those people, these guys, there are a lot of things that are happening. Even those things that these guys have encounters, and of course they are true encounters, right? From the standpoint of being a Christian and having experienced something and seen something, there are true encounters that have happened. But a lot of people are just coming up with different kinds of encounters that they've had, and in it, clean and clear, you can see a lot of madness. Like, really, like, is a lot of chaos, right? So, and that has been a problem. So, and even in Islam, the Muslim religion, for me, I feel like there's a lot of madness going on there, because there are different sects and there are different extents to what each of these sects believe. Some believe in peace, some believe in war, some believe holy war, right? Jihad. Some believe in being instruments to eradicate the pigs, which pigs are the Jews and the Christians. Like, a lot of beliefs, I've seen a lot of sects there, right? And for me, it feels like some kind of madness. And yeah, a lot of Gen Zs have questioned a lot of things, right? Other kinds of religions, you see the way they worship their gods, the way they make sacrifices, use mediums, do a lot of things, and you're like, should be now one God all these people they serve? Like, really, if we say it's one God we serve, should it not have a particular way that this God should love to be served? So he loves variety, right? Or there's just a lot of confusion for me, and I'm sure I'm speaking the minds of some young people too. Like, what is all this craziness happening in the world under the guise of religion? Yeah, and this um is impacting the young folks in our generation. Is really really bad, and of course a lot of them are subscribing to believing in themselves. So people have taken another thing about religion is that you can believe in yourself, you are a god, you can create things, you can make things happen, a lot of things. Yeah, so some people are just like, serving this god almost is too much, because what is all this madness? So since I know myself, I can believe in myself, I'm a god, right? And no one else, like, everybody is just moving, like nobody's actually giving, and nobody has a straight cut answers. A lot of things are just arising, a lot of things, and for me it's mad, very mad at that. Then there's also the issue of church hurt. Yeah, and that one happens to Christians. So recently I've been hearing a lot of story about people becoming deconstructionists. Yeah, so that word is used to describe people that became hurt in church, or they became confused in their church setting or church gathering, and decided to stop going to church for a while, or stop going to church at all, and then go and find this faith by themselves. A lot of people have become deconstructionists for so many reasons, right? Either they want to go dig deeper by themselves to find the truth, or they just want to like dismantle every belief that have been shoved down their throats, probably by their parents or their church leaders, maybe because of what happened in church, or there's just a lot of things. And then some Christian folks, or some religious folks, or some people that were at least practicing religion one time or the other, Christian, Islam, whatever religion, have subscribed to become atheists. There's also the people who are agnostics, and then every kind of optics, like ticks and ticks, the constructionists, atheists, agnostics, all the ticks and ticks that exist. And you're like, what's really going on, bro? What's happening? This belief thing, what's going on? And so I feel like personally, right, because of all the madness that is happening, it's time for a lot of people to, so I really understand the deconstructionists and why they have to like take themselves away from church, probably because of church hurt, or they are just confused by the insane amount of things that are popping up here and there, right? And personally, I feel like it will not really be a bad idea for each and every one of us to sit back. Now, I'm not saying don't go to church, I'm not saying don't continue to worship God, but just sit back and ask yourself, what are you doing? Do you know what you're doing? Are you just engaging in activities? Are you just practicing religion for the sake of practicing religion, or probably for the sake of going to heaven, or for the sake of not making hellfire? All those kind of reasons. Are you just doing that? Or sit back and ask yourself, like, really? Like, why do I believe this? And I feel like it's a time for each and every one of us to go back and ask us, like, not because if you ask yourself, sometimes you can't, most times you will not even get the answers to that question. So just ask, what is the truth? It's time for each and every one of us to begin to seek the truth, the ultimate truth that exists. Really, a lot of us are subscribing to beliefs that we think are true, but seek the truth. So for me, at one time or the other, I had to probably call it like deconstruct my faith, but I won't say I became a deconstructionist, right? I just had to take some back burner and begin to question a lot of things. And because I actually took some time out to begin to ask, okay, if there is a real God, and yes, somebody must have created the universe, somebody must have been in charge of the earth and everything, the galaxies, everything, a supernatural being, a super intelligence must have been in charge of it, right? Nothing exists just on its own. There's no life that just comes up just like that. There must be a cause and effect. There must be something that triggered something that caused something to happen, right? I don't believe in the Big Bang theory. So I believe that there must have been an intelligence that existed. And I began to question and pray and ask and say, okay, God, what is the truth? Like, what is this faith? What is this thing? And I tell you the truth, I got answers, right? And I also prayed for, in all this, you also need human tutors and all those kind of things. And I prayed for direction, believing that if there was really a God that existed, and He's true and faithful, and He sees my heart that I want to know the truth, I want to stop living in confusion. I mean, I was in that place, and I found the truth for me. And the truth is Jesus. For me, is Jesus. I found a relationship with Jesus. I found a relationship with the Holy Spirit. I found God. And right now, my Christian journey, my Christian faith, believing in Christ, for me is a whole journey that has been so exciting. And so I feel like everybody should get to that place where they begin to question a lot of things and go back to the beginning, go back to the only being that is the truth, and ask what the truth is, because the insanity ravaging the world is too much. It's just too much. It's just too much. And so, yeah, and I feel like I'm going to share my story, right? One of these days, fully. But then, religion and a lot of the insanity is just there. And so, this is what I think everybody that's going through the insanity of religion should do right about now, to seek the truth, the only truth that exists. And you will find Him. You will find Him. You will find Him, because He hears, He sees, He knows, He's seeing you. He sees the state of your heart. If you really want to know the truth, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has this testimony. A lot of people have had encounters with the truth, the only truth that exists, which is Jesus, and they can tell you plainly, what He has done. And it is going to be a whole lot of journey, right? He'll take you through a whole lot of journey and processes. Yeah, so all this insanity, we need to find the truth. That's what I think is the only cure to this. So in a bit, we're going to talk about church hurt, because I mentioned church hurt and deconstructionists, right? But not really explaining what church hurt is. But we're going to talk about that in a bit. So people with church hurt, church hurt is like church hurt. I'll soon bite my tongue when I'm trying to mention this. Church, again. Church hurt is like it is a term used to refer. It came out just recently, right? People use it to refer to the trauma that they got from the church where they were serving or worshiping or fellowshipping with, and it refers to the pain, sadness, the emotional scarring or abuse experienced in a church context as a member. It could be a physical or emotional scarring or abuse, and could have been inflicted intentionally or unintentionally by church members or even religious spiritual leaders. And saying that hurt people is true even in the church. And I like to say that church is like a place where you find a lot of sick people. There are people that may be healthy in that setting, but a lot of sick people that have come to seek for health can be found in the church setting. And so a lot of these people are hurt. Even the church leaders, sometimes they have gone through traumas that they don't even know, right? Even though they are church leaders. And there's this part of humanity that you always be a human, right? Unless you just subscribe to grace to help you to overcome your humanity. But a lot of people are moving in ignorance that they are hurt, and in that ignorance they're hurting a lot of people by how they act or what they say or how they behave. And even good people hurt people. Say they can get angry and just say hurtful things to people, right? And so if a lot of people just begin to become self-aware that they are hurt, even though they are church leaders, even as church members, if they begin to find that they are their traumas, probably the church will be a better place. People will be seeking for healing with the awareness that they are sick, and will not be using their sickness to inflict harm or injury on other people, innocent worshippers that come to worship. So sometimes this church hurt can be expressed in different ways. It could be that probably they love to shut you up in church. Like probably young people in my generation, more Gen Z people are very crazy, can be very crazy. Let me not say are very crazy, can be very crazy. And sometimes a lot of questions that we have on our minds, because we are curious people trying to understand the world, very curious. And you could be in a church setting where people don't permit the young people to ask a lot of questions. It's not like a safe space for you to be yourself, and you find a lot of elderly people shutting you down, talking down at your behaviors, at a lot of things concerning you, and that could be church hurt. So a lot of Gen Zs that have low threshold for pain or can hardly endure a lot of things just leave the church, right? Because they have been scarred emotionally, probably by what those elders have said or done to them. Some people is because they've not been shown support in their grief or their needs or just a lot of things. And again, I would reiterate, right? Humans are generally and completely flawed, and even though in church leaders have been entrusted with the responsibility to care for the Lord's church, right? To care for the flock of God, they may make decisions or take actions that are subject to error and that are probably from good intentions, but may work injustice, may work hurt, may work pain. So it's just a whole lot of nuances to this. Some church hurt can even happen in the following way, like someone is sexually abused by their pastors, and so it causes like distrust in pastors and ministry leaders because of sexual abuse. We've heard a lot of those stories. A lot of church members are guilty. For this one I want to mention now, like so weak in extending grace. Like this is another form of inflicting church hurt on young people or even people in general, right? Being so weak in extending grace and forgiveness. Like they're so quick to judge, they're so quick to criticize, so quick to condemn. And one other thing that the church does, but they don't know that they do such, is their They find it very hard to be appreciative or to value people's talents and skills, like value people, really value people for the sake of coming to church. They want you to come back, but really take out time to value people, probably the contribution, little contributions. Now I'm not talking about recognizing the people. Like, this is something I feel like I've experienced in a church setting. So a quick story: one time I kind of helped out with something in a church. I wasn't a member of the church, but I just attended, right? And there was a problem, an issue with the IT, and I went to help, and I had to sacrifice my phone and also my data, right? So I sacrificed my phone, and I also let them use my data for the stuff they wanted to do. Can you believe that the church service ended? They gave me back my phone. There was not as much as any thank you in the mouth of any of those persons that I handed my phone to. There was no single thank you. Even the pastor of the church didn't say thank you. And I was shook. And it made me reflect on why a lot of people have left the church, especially musicians. We are so quick to judge, like, yeah. Then there is also abusive church leaders who give significant injuries to church members, like their tyrannical leader leading them with fear and all those kind of stuff. And then there's also blaming the people when things don't go right, like excessively blaming, all those kind of things. And it's just a lot, like accusing people that they have evil intentions, even when they actually did probably a wrong thing, but from a place of good intention. Like, there's lack of grace in church. And it's funny how scripture says that Jesus was full of grace and truth, but the church we see these days lacks grace. The same people seeking for the grace of God, they lack grace in all ramifications, and it's so terrible, right? So it's just a lot. Spiritual abuse, that one is mostly prophets. Bring your this one, bring your car, bring your house, manipulating people. If you don't do this, God will not bless you. If you don't do this, God will... It's just a lot, guys. Like, so church hurt is on a large scale, and a lot of people are leaving church. A lot of people are traumatized by church, and this is one of the causes of insanity in our society. Religion, church hurt, insanity. Like, where can somebody be seen? So it's like a call for us to get back to finding God, seeking the truth, as I mentioned earlier. Once again, seeking the truth, finding God, finding the true God that Christ came down on earth to introduce to us, finding Him and finding Him completely, so that all this confusion that exists in and all that. And then for those that are going through church hurt has been a major cause of a lot of squabble and a lot of issues, right? And so people that have experienced church hurt is just finding a place to, like, realize that it's not God that hurts you. He still loves you, but then a person that was not able to represent God well caused your hurt, caused your pain, abused you, and God is still in the business of, like, accepting you and also healing you from such hurt or such trauma. And it's a whole lot of work to do. And yeah, a lot of people are going through church hurt. Some people going through church hurt are still going to church, right? Because they don't know what else to do. Or just finding time to realize and recognize that God is not the one that hurt you. His people did. And they did from a place of lack of understanding and a place of misrepresentation of God. And extending forgiveness, even though you've been hurt and abused, extending forgiveness to them and even getting back to God, who has the ability to heal you and even make things right. And sometimes you have to change church. Sometimes you have to stop church for a while. Yes, that's the truth. Sometimes you just have to stay away from that church and ask God to direct you to a place where you can get better. And yeah. So yes, today's podcast I'm sure we delved into a lot of things concerning religion and insanity and then church hurt, and I hope you learned a thing or two. If you experienced church hurt before, so sorry about that. God didn't hurt you, and He's aware that you were terribly hurt by what you went through, whether it was abuse, any form of abuse that we mentioned, or even the ones we didn't mention, right? And God is able, He's willing, He wants to heal you. You can also change your church, or you can even stop for a while and let God now direct you to a place where you can go, or based on you can just, but God is not the one that hurts you. And even though it may be hard for you to believe that or take that in, but let your healing come at its pace, right? Be patient with yourself and go through the process of grieving whatever hurt that has been done to you and just whatever. And yeah, God is there for you. He's going to help you and He's going to lead you in the right path. And for those of you that have had the question that's been bothering me for years about religion and the insanity that exists in religion, listen. I feel like religion was not God's intention when He sent Christ to die for the world. And probably a lot of people may have been practicing the worship of different kinds of gods even before Jesus came. But personally, now believing in one God and the only way as Jesus, I believe that if you take our time to just shake yourself up from every kind of belief you've had before and go back to the basics and ask this question: what is the truth? Ask the truth to be revealed to you, the only truth. Seek it with intention and sincere desire, and you will find Him. You will find Him. Seriously, you will find Him. And I believe He's going to lead you to a place where you can grow with other believers, with other people. You can grow in a relationship, in a personal relationship. It's a relationship first before other things, right? It's not other things. It's not religion before relationship. It's a relationship first before other things. And from a personal place, knowing fully well that I don't think God's intention for us was to practice religion. Yeah, so relationship was His goal and it's still His desire, right? And it's only through relationship that you will actually get everything that He intends for us to get and to become. And so yeah, that's all I have for you guys on this podcast episode. Hope to see you in next episode. Thank you so much for sticking with me and listening to these very points. So I'm going to sign out now. Please share this podcast episode with your friends, loved ones, enemies, neighbors, everyone. Also follow this podcast. If you're not following us, please follow this podcast. And I hope to see you next podcast episode. Bye bye.